Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing my wrap up for February and my TBR for March. Despite it being a short month, I did read a lot of books. I read 10, which is actually, I guess, kind of average for me, and 2 of them were audiobooks. So, yeah, I'm going to go through what I read kind of with brief synopsis and what I thought of them, and then I'm going to go through and then I'm going to tell you which was my favorite, and then I'm going to go into what I'm going to read next month. So, first of all, I read Dead Silence, which was the Interstellar Book Club pick for January, I believe. So I reviewed that in February. And it was kind of disappointing. It's about a group of people exploring a derelict ship in space. Super cool potential. Not a great follow through. Then I listened to Space Punks on Audible. I got this from the author. It is a quintessential cyberpunk story featuring androids and cyborgs and a lot of action, a lot of sex scenes. It's really fun. I really liked it. I read The Other Valley, which is a Canadian book about a valley where across the valley there's another town exactly the same, but it's set 20 years in the future. The other direction, there's a town set 20 years in the past. It's kind of a thought experiment about memory and regret. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I also read Stations of the Tide, which was a classic sci-fi. I mean, it's from 1991, so not that classic, but it was re-released by Tor, I think, and it was weird. It's a weird book about a man named the Bureaucrat trying to track down a wizard on this planet that's about to be destroyed by a massive tidal wave. It's really interesting. I read Red Sight, which was a fantasy sci-fi about a priestess woman who could control space-time and her lizard girlfriend. It started off really strong, but it was very meandering, and I don't know, I kind of got bored the last half of the book. Then I read The Woods All Black, which is a novella by Lee Mandello, which I absolutely loved. It's kind of it's a historical fiction mainly, but it also has a cool horror element and a wild sex scene. Generation Ship I listened to on Audible, and I thought that was fantastic. It was really fun. It was really approachable, really easy to listen to. I actually just reviewed it like the other day. Really fun. Just kind of a standard sci-fi, but has a really big focus on kind of the politics of a generation ship. I read What Feasts at Night, which was a surprise for me because I got approved for last second for on NetGalley, like 2 days before the book came out. And I loved this. It's a sequel to What Moves the Dead, which is by T. Kingfisher, and it is about a soldier, and they travel back to their homeland, and the cottage where they're living is apparently haunted, and it's really fun. I also read The Hand of God for the SPSFC 3, which was a post-apocalyptic kind of metaphysical science fiction. It had a lot of themes that I wasn't super into, but the characterization was top-notch. The writing style is very elegant. I thought it was a really well done book, despite it not really being like my taste thematically, and it was good. And I read The Morning Side, which was a literary fiction, I would argue that's kind of what it is, but it also has kind of, it's dystopian in a way, it's kind of fantastical in a way, but not really. It's a very interesting book. It's about kind of like mother-daughter dynamics, coming of age. It's really nice. I'm going to try something new this month. I'm going to rank the books to get to my favorite. How I come to this decision is wholly subjective. I really only bring in objective things like narrative craft, for example, if I can't decide between 2 of them. So from least favorite to favorite, we have Dead Silence. I gave that 2 stars. Red Sight, I gave 2.5 stars. The Hand of God, 3.75 stars. Space Punks, I gave a 4. Station of the Tide, I gave a 4. Generation Ship got a 4.5. And this is where it gets dicey, because the next 4 of these all get 5 stars. So The Morning Side, as I said, I loved this. It was lovely. The Other Valley, I loved this. It made me cry. What Feasts at Night, I loved this because it was so fun. The Woods All Black, I loved this the most, I think, because it was so well researched, atmospheric, entrancing, and that sex scene was wild. So yes, The Woods All Black was my favorite of the month, though really all of these books were fun. Maybe not Red Sight, but or Dead Silence, but I do recommend you check out all of them if they sound interesting to you. So next month, I have a lot on my plate that I'm hoping to get to. First, while I was waiting for Demon's Rule to be released, I decided to pick up Starling House, despite being bitter that I was denied an ARC back in the summer when it came out. And this, my dear friends, is why bitterness never pays off. Cast that grudge aside. I am almost done with the book now, and I can tell you that whatever book I'm going to review it in, probably next month, actually, probably next week, it's going to have, the other books are going to have a hard time competing because I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah, so expect that review probably. I'm also going to be reading Someone to Make a Nest In, which is about a human eating monster falling in love, I think. It's kind of a horror fantasy. I'm going to be reading The Floating Hotel, which is a cozy sci-fi about a hotel in space. I'm going to read Panacea Genesis, a SPSFC semifinalist. I didn't read the blurb. I don't know what it's about. It looks like it's some post-apocalyptic warrior thing. Sounds cool. The Angel of Indian Lake, I'm reading soon. This is part 3 of the My Heart is a Chainsaw books. I can't remember what the book series name is. I'm going to be reading Andromeda Gun, which is a classic sci-fi about an alien possessing a dude. The Children of the Black, which is another SPSFC semifinalist. I also don't know what it's about. All I know is it's like 600 pages, and I'm like, oh, these big books. I'm also going to try to get to I Cheerfully Refuse, which is a literary fiction about, I don't know, something about boats. I can't remember. I requested these books, like, people putting them on Nicola like 6 months before they come out, and I'm like, I don't remember what this book is about until I get to it. I also have The Last Spy Hunter, which is from Angry Robot. They actually sent me a physical arc. It's a fantasy about a wizard dude escorting a pregnant lady through a forbidden forest, I think. There's also Grey Dog, a horror novella, which I can't remember what that's about at all. Sleepers and Ties, a Canadian fiction about a railway. I love trains. I'm an old man at heart. And for the Interstellar Book Club, we're reading Terra Nullius, a Australian post-apocalyptic book, which sounds really cool. I don't know if I'm going to get to all of these, to be honest. I have no idea. I have a busy month, but we will see. I'm going to try my best. My schedule on my whiteboard tells me that I'm going to get to them, so that hopefully means I'm going to get to them. One last thing, I'm not going to be doing Indie April this year. Last year I did a thing where I read only indie books or reviewed indie books in April. The problem is I wasn't thinking back in like November, and I requested a bunch of books on NetGalley that are coming out in April, so I have to read those before they come out. And also I'm doing the SPSFC this year, so I think that's a lot of indie books, and technically still reading more than I did last year. I will try to get to a few more indie books as well in April if I can. But yeah, so sorry about that if that is disheartening to anybody that was really looking forward to that. Maybe I'll do an indie August instead. We'll see. So yeah, thanks.